All right. Hey, class. This is Isaac. I'm your instructor. Um, and quick intro to me. Hopefully, you're able to see a little bit of my introduction. But I'm a graduate student at BYU doing my PhD in chemistry. So this is my fourth time teaching this class, something like that. But I haven't taught it online, so I apologize if I mess up, and I'm going to be understanding too if others mess up because I know it's kind of a unique situation and a different format. So still getting used to it. And again, I apologize. I kind of dropped the ball on the last live course or class that we were supposed to have on MS Teams. So this is going to take place of that. This is going to be kind of what we're going to go over anyway on Friday, last Friday. Today's Monday, just in case you're not watching it today. But we're also going to have another MS Teams meeting this Friday, I think. So that's like Friday, let's see, the 11th, September 11th. And so we'll go over a few other things, and I'll just kind of be on there to get to know you guys and have a Q&A, because I'm sure there's some questions that have come up to this point, and so we'll work through those. Today I'm going to go over the syllabus and some of the class expectations, and hopefully give you a better idea of like how the course is going to run. The nice thing about this class is like after these first 2 weeks have been different than they're normally going to be. It's been like a lot of like read the syllabus, do the safety quiz, stuff like that. But starting next week, there's going to be the first lab. Then all the weeks are pretty much just going to be the same. It's just a different lab, but the things you do each week are about the same. So you'll get into a better rhythm. So it may take a week or two for us to kind of get used to it all. But I think after that, it'll go pretty smoothly. All right, so I'm going to pull up syllabus here. Okay. All right, so I'm in Canvas. I think all of you have gotten onto Canvas so far. Let me go into a student view. Okay, so this is what you should see when you come into Canvas. So week one, everyone's pretty much done all of these. And week two, we've done all this. This assignment in week two, set up Beyond Labs, which is the kind of like the online dry lab program we're using. There were a few people who couldn't get this to work on their computer. So first thing to check, I don't think it works on Chromebooks. So if you do have a Chromebook, I don't think it's going to work. And so I think for doing the labs, which fortunately doesn't take a whole lot of time, I think we'll just use like a computer in the library or something like that in order to get that done. But if you don't have a Chromebook, it should work if you have a PC or a Mac. Anyway, after I go over the syllabus and stuff, I will set up Beyond Labs on my computer just to show you the process if you're having trouble. And if after watching that you still can't get it, we'll just I'll just work with you if you haven't gotten it, and we'll see if we can get it set up, or at least find a way for you to do the labs. Do that in the video because a lot of you have actually done it, and so after I go over the syllabus and stuff, you can just sign off. You don't need to stick around for me setting this up if you don't want to. Okay, so this week, right now, you have the Microsoft Word and Excel assignment. These are just two programs you're going to use throughout the semester, so I want to make sure you guys are comfortable with those. And then after this week, you can see we start our labs. And so you can see the process is pretty similar for all of them. You have the pre-lab quiz, and then you have the complete and submit, where you submit your lab notebook pages and your lab report. And you can see it's pretty much the same till the end of the semester. The last thing is just the final exam. Okay. Final exam will be choice on this, and it'll just have questions that basically, if you were in the lab and were paying attention and writing down what you were doing, you're going to do very well. It's open note, so you can use your lab notebook on the lab final. So that's where doing well that's where keeping good notes with your lab notebook is going to come in handy. Okay, so let's start with the syllabus. Let's just run through it real quick. Let's see if it'll let me open on Canvas. I've got to open it over here. Okay, let me hop over to Word real quick. All right. Hopefully you guys have all read through this. Again, my name is Isaac Smith. I'm an instructor. You can call me Isaac if you want. And I'm just going to use Canvas. It's just easier for me because I get notifications on my phone when I get like a Canvas message. So it's almost like you're just texting me. So it's probably the best way for me to communicate with you guys. This was on here because it's kind of a generic syllabus for all the classes, but I can pretty much guarantee if you direct message me in Microsoft Teams, I won't see it for a very long time. So let's just do Canvas. I think that's the easiest way to go. Even if you want to set up an appointment to meet in MS Teams. So like, again, if you're having trouble setting up Beyond Labs and we can meet together in MS Teams and like work through it. Just message through Canvas. Again, that's the way you're going to get in touch with me. All right. What else here? Let's just go over the important things because I'm sure you guys already read through a lot of this. Announcements area, I'll use that a lot just when I want to, I don't know, send an announcement to everybody. I'll usually try and send a message too, just because I know some of you may not go into the announcement section that often. If it's really important, I will probably do a direct message in Canvas. But if it's just kind of like good information, like somebody's having this issue, this could be helpful. Go to the announcements area and you might find help on that. The discussion area, we did the meet your classmates and instructor. So as I say, this is awesome. The only other place we're really going to use that is going to be the student lounge. So this is kind of like if you have questions while you're going through the labs and stuff, and you want to like ask, you know, if another student had a certain issue, and you guys can help each other that way. But you can also just come ask me if you want. Don't feel like, you know, you have to ask the students first and then come ask me if that doesn't work out. I'm totally open to just helping you out if you just want to come ask me first. That's fine. There aren't that many students, so I'm not going to get overwhelmed with questions usually. If I do get overwhelmed with questions, that means I screwed something up probably, so I'll fix it. All right. So again, let's see. Oh, I skipped modules. The modules area, you probably know they're just categorized by week. New module open, you do the work in that week. All right. Oh yeah, pretty common sense, right? Don't be disrespectful in the discussions and stuff. I'll look through those periodically just to make sure nothing crazy is happening, but I don't think it will. Not much to talk about in a chemistry course. All right. Let's see. You have files, you'll find syllabus, schedules, stuff like that. Let's see if anything else is probably isn't interesting to you and you've already read it. So, okay, here we go. So, completion of the safety lab. So that was the safety quiz that we did. That's mandatory. I think everyone did it, so we're good. This is really the important part that we need to go over is that this class is really just based on like time, like showing up, doing the lab. And so if you miss more than 2 labs, you get a failing grade. This is actually, it used to be 1 lab. They changed this. Everything's getting a little more lenient with COVID, but even in person, it was like 1 lab. And so that was hard because some people would be gone for, some reason. You're going to miss something maybe during the semester. It's not as big of a deal during this semester, I don't think, because it's all online. So, you got 7 days to complete the lab. I don't think there's really any reason not to do the lab. There can be some circumstances where you're out for a week. I get that. So, but you're allowed to miss 2 labs. So without failing, even if none of the labs are dropped though. So if you do miss a lab, it still counts against your grade. But if you miss lab, automatic failing grade. So just be aware of that. Make sure you don't miss 2 labs or more than 2 labs, I guess. And then, yeah, if it's COVID related, like you get COVID or something like that, just talk to me and we'll figure it out. If you need any extra accommodations, you can do that through the Office of Accessibility Services. And let's see. So now we're getting into grading, which everyone loves, right? It's pretty standard, the grading scale. You can see here the percentages. So we have the final exam, pretty much you can see all the points on Canvas, so you can see what everything is worth. Each lab's worth like 100 points, I think. So you can figure out what all the labs are worth. All the assignments, how the class is weighted that way. All right. Okay, so that'll be up for the syllabus. Let's go back onto Canvas real quick. I can find it. There we go. Okay, so we did the syllabus and some of the expectations. Let me just go over now what kind of like a normal week will look like. And so like this would be starting next week. So I'm gonna have to get out of the student view real quick. How do I do this? Oh, here we go. Okay, so okay, so here's week 4. So this is next week, and this is when you start your labs. And so starting next week, we're going to be starting every single week. So we'll go through this, and hopefully you get a better idea of how the semester will be for the most part. Okay, so for every lab, you're going to come in, you're going to read the lab manual. So if you click on this, you can download the PDF. And this basically is like step-by-step what you need to do for everything. So these are, gives you a background about the lab, gives you some information on pre-lab, and the questions that you'll be answering in the pre-lab quiz on Canvas. So you're welcome to work on these. You don't have to like only work on them when you open the quiz or something. You can answer these questions first, then go in, take the pre-lab quiz, and just put your answers into the quiz. And then here's the procedure. So you'll follow this as you do your lab. So that's nice. And the data, so you need to fill this out while you're doing your lab as well. This first lab has 2 parts. So that's one part, and then it has a whole other section for the second part of the lab. But basically, that's it. Background, it's got some pre-lab and a procedure, and then your data table. And then, let's see. Okay, yeah, this is the second part. Okay, let's go back here. So you're gonna read through the lab manual and probably read through the lab manual, see what's going on, and then do the pre-lab questions. And then you'll go into the pre-lab quiz. You'll open the pre-lab quiz, and I guess I can just show you that real quick. Go to the questions here. So you can see the questions are literally just you saw in your answers. So anyway, that's just the pre-lab quiz there. Oh, let's see if I can get back to where I was. Okay, so you do that pre-lab quiz, and then it has a video which kind of walks you through the lab, which is really nice. So you'll click on this link, and it's an instructor that goes through like this is what you're going to do in the lab, and he goes through like beyond labs, showing some of like the nuances of the software. Sometimes it's not super intuitive, so he'll kind of show you like you need to click this to change this and stuff like that. That's really helpful. So then you'll actually find and perform the labs, which this video helps you do. So and I would, it's not required you watch this video, but I would highly suggest it. I think it's going to save you a lot of time and frustration when you actually go to do the labs. Then you're not spending time figuring out how to do it because someone's already showed you. So it should be pretty quick after someone shows you how to do it. And then while you're doing the lab, you just want to write in your lab notebook. Okay, so here's an example of a lab notebook. So you got your name there, you got the experiment number, so I know which experiment it's for, and the date is good. So then you kind of have, you don't need to be like, so you don't need to copy the procedure word for word. So you kind of just make a note of what you did and those results. So if the procedure says, you know, like weigh out this sample, then you'd be like, okay, weighed out the sample, this was the weight, right? Or something like that. Kind of make the procedure summarized with the results of what you did in that step. And so you can see that's just a page. I mean, there's only like 5 things here, right? So, and this one is actually a pretty long lab. So he just put the kind of the high points, the important parts of the procedure, and then what happened at that step. And then this all just kind of depends on the lab. Some of these aren't going to have very many calculations or maybe none at all. So really it's just anything you do for the lab, just make sure it's in your lab notebook so I can see it. So if you have to do a calculation or if you have to balance an equation, like right here, you just want to make sure you write it down in the lab notebook and not like on a separate piece of paper or something. Just while you're working through the lab, just shoot. And then a summary. This doesn't have to be long. A couple sentences is fine. If it's a short lab, it may just be 1 sentence or something. So hopefully that makes sense. It's basically just like a way, I guess the way to like know if you did well on this is, you know, if somebody else or if I could just come in and look through this and be like, okay, I can kind of see what they did in their lab. And another reason to do well on this is because this is what you get to use in your final exam or your lab notebook pages. So you want to be able to have somebody come in and be like, okay, I can tell what they did in the lab, because that's how you're going to be at the end of the semester when you have totally forgotten all of these labs. You're going to want to come back and be like, oh, this makes sense. I remember what I did. And you'll be able to answer this well. So that's the purpose of the lab notebook. So just keep that in mind. There isn't a super, strict formula on how to do it exactly. I just tell people just do it as if, you're trying to explain to somebody what's going on, somebody that's already familiar with it, right? It doesn't have to be explaining it to somebody who's never seen it, because that would be a lot more detail than you need. And you just need enough detail so that when you look back, you remember what you did. Okay. Let's see. So there's 2 things so you do the lab and you're doing your lab notebook while you're doing the lab. And then after you do that, you write your lab report. So for the lab report, let's see. Oh yeah, so here's the here's an example. So, all right. So I think there's like 4 main sections in the lab report. You can just use these examples to model yours. So you need an introduction, which is a few sentences about what happened in the lab. This could be similar to your summary from your lab notebook. And then the results. So any data table, anything you recorded should be in your lab notebook. And any analysis of your data as well. So if you recorded data and then the lab procedure says to graph it or something like that, then you'll want to put a graph on your table or on your lab report and explain that. Lab report is, think of it again as like you're presenting your report to a boss or something like that. So your boss says, hey, I need you to go do this lab. And I know what a lab report is, right? You're trying to explain your data in a meaningful way to somebody that's not, I don't know, doesn't need to be overly complicated. But it's good to have graphs and calculations and stuff like that to explain to me basically what you found when you did your lab. That's what I'm looking for. Sometimes the lab manual, so like the lab procedures, let's see. So this part, the lab manual, is going to have some data analysis questions in it. And so you'll also answer those if you have them. If you don't have them, you're just reporting your data and maybe doing a graph if it makes sense. Find a way to help, to help me understand your data basically. And then the discussion at the end is kind of summarizing what you found. Right? So this one is titration. I don't think you guys have talked about in your classes, but it says actual molar concentration is slightly lower. And so it kind of goes over what we expected, what we actually found, right? All right. So sorry if that's not super clear. Sorry, I was going to download this real quick. Okay, perfect. Sorry, you can't see that. So we didn't actually, I think for the dry lab, for the wet labs, it's going to be, so for the wet labs, I think the analysis questions are in the manual. Maybe they're in here. Sorry, things are switching up a lot this semester. So again, we're going to learn together, but it looks like they actually, this semester have created kind of a template for your lab report, which is really nice. So you use the example, but also this is for your first dry lab. So you fill in your introduction, your data, and then figure. So this tells you to basically make the graph, and then you have your discussion about the data. A couple questions to answer about it as well. And then part 2, right? The first lab has 2 parts. So this is really nice. So I guess you just, you're gonna go through and just fill out, basically, erase the instruction and put your answers in. So that actually makes it very simple. So sorry, should have gone to that earlier. That's a new feature they just added. Okay, let's go back to Google Chrome. All right. So just review the pre-lab questions, take the pre-lab quiz, watch the video explaining how to do the lab, then actually do the lab and record stuff in your lab notebook as you're doing it. Then use a lab report template to fill out your lab report. And then you're going to submit the lab notebook and the lab report together. Okay, so if we come back to home. Okay, so pre-lab quiz, right? That's where you do those pre-lab questions. And then complete and submit. This is where you're going to submit your lab notebook. And then you'll have your lab report, okay? So show you the format of this submission. load. Okay, just a file upload. So you're gonna upload it as like a PDF would be best. So a PDF with, that's just the easiest for me to read on online. So PDF of your lab notebook and your lab report both go in the, what's it called? Complete and submit assignment. So every week you just need to do that. And so it just kind of repeats. It's just a different lab procedure, obviously, a different lab you're doing. But you'll have pre-lab questions, and then you'll have a lab report and a lab notebook due after. So, okay, so that's pretty much it for how the course is going to be run going forward. Again, we'll meet this Friday and do some more kind of Q&A if anyone has questions. You don't have to wait till Friday, though. If you do have questions, feel free to like message me on campus. So I have labs set up. You're free to sign off right now and close the video. Now I'm just going to set up Beyond Labs on my computer, and for those who still need help setting it up. So I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I extended this assignment because I know a lot of people were having issues. So I'll just make it due this week. So sometime this week we need to get Beyond Labs set up. Okay, so you come in here and we have our access code, Utah Valley Fall 2020. And then we'll click download and install. Okay, so this YouTube video will go over how to do it. We're so glad you want to download Beyond. So it's telling me to go to this link here. So it's beyondlabs.com/pound download. So beyondlabs.com pound download. Okay. And let's see what we get here. So this site looks a little different for downloading trial. So if you notice on this, it says version 1.7, which is the one we're going to want to do. So let's see, I think we click purchase, and then we hit need the legacy version 1.7, and we'll follow this link. All right, and then just choose whatever operating system you're on. Oh, looks like they have added Chromebook. Oh, so it does not work on all hardware devices, so may or may not work on Chromebook. I've heard from other instructors that it doesn't really work on Chromebook though. All right, so I'm on a Mac, so I'll download this and let that run. I'll pause this so you don't have to watch the whole thing here. Okay, so I got this downloaded here. Let's see how much of this I can actually show you. I might go off the screen for a sec. All right. Share what, okay. So if you're on a Mac, it's gonna be, different than a PC, but on a Mac, you'll just follow whatever. On a Mac, you should just drag the virtual locations folder, and then you can open it. On a PC, I'm sure there's a different process for this. But I'll open it up and see what happens. Let me stop sharing real quick. I'm gonna see if I can share this, but it's not gonna let me share it. Darn. Okay, so yeah, I just opened it up and it's it says installing worksheets, so it's just kind of installing the whole thing. So I guess just going through the normal installation process for like a program on whatever platform you're on. Okay, figured out how to get it to share this, but this is what I'm saying right now. It's just installing worksheets for Beyond Labs. It's taking a little while, but I'll have it done pretty shortly, hopefully. Okay, so after all that, this popped up, and this is the Beyond Labs client. So this is what you'll need, and you can just download all of these. Well, I don't know if you need them all. I know you need physics, physical science, and chemistry at least. So just download those. You just click the download button. So let's get out of that. So I guess that's the process for downloading. I think at some point. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Go back into this. If you click on the license tab, activation code, you'll go ahead and put in the code from Canvas. Let me grab that real quick. All right, so that code is Utah Valley Fall 2020, and hit submit, and then it should update your license code and give you an expiration date and stuff. I think right now it's just a trial as soon as you download it, so you only have it for a certain amount of time. But if you put that code here and hit submit activation code, then you'll have it throughout the whole semester. So, all right, I think that's pretty much it for downloading it. If you follow those procedures and you're still having issues, let's talk on Canvas, or we can meet on MS Teams. You can see your computer and walk through to download it. So